Today, I want to talk about three things. The first thing I want to talk about is Lady Maureen, who has just been buried in Migori County earlier today. And the second thing I want to talk about is Johnson Sakaja, the Nairobi senator. Johnson Sakaja was arrested yesterday in Kilimani. He was found drinking with friends. He was actually arrested with two other friends beyond the curfew hours. And Johnson Sakaja has denied being arrested and challenged anybody who saw him being arrested to show OB number.
Ulisikia wapi? Ulisikia wapi? Ulisikia wapi? Ulisikia wapi? Mheshimiwa. Ulisikia wapi?
This is my county. You guys go. Nisingie kwa shida sana. Mimi ni yangu. I'll fight this thing. I was born in this town.
Mimi niongee na dakika moja.
Hapana. Utaingia kwa sasa. Mama, just go.
Just 1 minute.
You're my phone.
1 minute.
I don't boss you. Kuna simama.
Absolutely.
Simama kwa. I say if I don't get my phone. You have my phone?
No.
Do you have my phone?
No.
Check in the car.
It is not in the car.
Okay. Go home. Come on.
1 minute.
Mama, please go.
1
Trust
minute.
me.
1 minute.
Trust me, come on. 1 minute. Ni sana nitoke. Nimefungiwa hapa nitoke ya 1 minute. Go.
But let me begin with the sad news, the unfortunate and the untimely demise of Papa Shirandula, Charles Bukeko. This is one man who transformed, who changed the face of comedy in this country. I don't know how the comedy in this country would be today without the input of Papa Shirandula. But he has died. Papa Shirandula was in the village and he fell ill in the village in Bosia here, Samia. So he fell ill and he went back to Nairobi. He was tested. He tested positive for the COVID. And Papa Shirandula then self-isolated himself. And he had diabetes. So today he was taken to, I think, is it Nairobi Hospital or Karen Hospital? And he died there. This is one man I prayed daily to meet and have a one-on-one with. Unfortunately, it never happened. So Papa Shirandula is now gone. Probably without Papa Shirandula, I don't know whether we'd have known people like Will Brother, Jalash, my friend, whether we would have known Captain Otoyo, whether we would have known Joro, Awinja, and that crew. But he has died. But the message I want to pass as a result of his passing on is that COVID is real. And just like I advised us on this platform, if you have any relative, Kenyans still don't accept that this disease is real. So if you have any relative, just pass them the message that they just need to put on their mask. They need to wash their hands and sanitize. They need to keep social distance. And also, they need to avoid any crowded place anytime they get the chance. So that's the message I wanted to pass through the death of Papa Shirandula. Please pass that message to the rest of your friends, families, and relatives. And now back to Lady Maureen. Lady Maureen died. And before her death, we also had two other artists dying in Luo. There was Mundi Longlilo, who was a Benga artist, and then there was Abeni Jachiga, who was an Ohangla artist. Lady Maureen was an Ohangla queen in Nyanza here. She passed on. And it was not surprising because Lady Maureen actually suffered in sickness from 2018. But what lessons can we learn from Lady Maureen? In my view, there's always a story behind a story. People have talked, and personally, there's this guy called Atomi Sefa. I really had a very low opinion. You know, sometimes we judge people. But I decided to learn the story of this guy. And I listened to a video where he was giving the public his story. And I came to learn one thing. I bumped onto one of his videos. He was explaining his journey in life. This is a man who was born an orphan. He was an orphan at a very early age and was kicked out of their home. And then he went to Homa Bay town. So he was a street boy there. So during that time, Prince Julie used to be Prince Julie of the Dunia Mbaya. So Prince Julie would go to Homa Bay to perform. So he would go there, but because he was a kid, dirty, he could not be allowed in. So Atomi Sefa is explaining that one day he went there and he begged from 6 until 2 to be allowed in. Because, you know, in those days they used to get in a fungwa unalepa ndio unaingia. He couldn't do that. He couldn't afford that. So he was allowed in at 2. Because by 2, most people had actually started going. The crowd is now. When he was allowed in, he found people dancing and he started dancing. And a competition was quickly arranged and he emerged winner. And then Prince Julie asked him about who he was. Then he explained to to Prince Julie. And that's how Atomi Sefa joined Prince Julie. And today we have Atomi Sefa. So Lady Maureen's story also has a story behind it. But who is Lady Maureen? Lady Maureen was born in 1984 in a place called Kombewa. Kombewa is in Seme. And that's why it's called Nyakodongo. But the question is, why was she buried in Migori if she was born in Seme and she was not married? It's because of family issues. So Lady Maureen's father is no, there's no, you can try dig, but you can't really find the story about the father. But just like Atomi Sefa, Lady Maureen also loved music. And during the Prince Julie's time, she would come to Kisumu here, town, whenever Prince Julie was performing, she would come and listen and dance. So, you know, she used to do this frequently. To an extent, now she became familiar to Prince Julie. Then one time after Prince Julie had performed, she approached Prince Julie and asked her how she can also start singing and be successful. So Prince Julie being Prince Julie, I know most people don't really respect her now, but personally I respect Prince Julie a lot, having understood what she went through. Prince Julie took her and she started singing around with Prince Julie, performing with her. She joined the band. But you know, Prince Julie's kind of songs were not really Ohangla. But she stayed with Prince Julie until 2006. That's not long ago. You need juzi tu hapa. Then around 2006 there, Lady Maureen then decided to leave Prince Julie. She found another band, Social Hall here in Kisumu. And she joined that band. That band was performing traditional music. They were popularly referred to as Kamolo traditional dancers. She joined this team. But she stayed with them like for 4 months. Then after the 4th month, she started her own band. I think it was called Ngata Dancers. That's how she started. But luckily for her, in 2006, when she was doing all this, there were campaigns Raila Odinga was contesting for the presidency. And Raila was very popular. So she composed a song, Wangni Wabiro. And that song was her breakthrough. Then after that song, Lady Maureen composed another song for Gor Mahia, which also became a hit because you know Kogalo, and you could see today in during her burial, Kogalo fans were all over because of that song.
Abiro nyagi pili manyako na viro mo. Abiro kawiro kanyogalo na viro mo. Abiro kawiro goro mai abiro mo. Agwambu wonya lego mano jagor. Raila patron maro jagor. Amolo patron mano jagor. Ambrose Rachir mano jagor. Ambrose Rachir mano jagor. Conelo wino mano jagor. Conelo wino mano jagor. Arum mano jagor.
And after that, Lady Maureen composed another song for Raila Odinga. She composed another good song for Gladys Wanga. And Lady Maureen became a big name. In Lunyanza music. But what really happened to Lady Maureen? To an extent that by 2018, Lady Maureen was struggling. What really happened to her? This is the question which we need to answer. Because today, when Lady Maureen was being taken for the burial, I watched the artist in her convoy. Emma Jalamo was there in a V8. And of course, of all the artists in Nyanza, I think Emma Jalamo is one of the richest. The richest. Because Emma Jalamo has an hotel, high-end hotel. He has his own home in a very nice home. He also has his own companies, and businesses in Nairobi. So Jalamo came there in his V8. Of course, he has several of them. I also saw Prince Inda in a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser. I also saw several of them, including Osogo Winyo, in his own car. Musa Jakadala, who just joined music recently, has several cars. But what really happened to Lady Maureen? Because most of these people, young people, Prince Inda, Musa Jakadala, probably they were mentored by Lady Maureen. What happened to Lady Maureen? Personally, I want to take this opportunity to advise artists that music in this country and arts nowadays pays so well. They pay. So artists and anybody who is a musician the world over are currently some of the richest people. So there's just something they need to do. And I give people the example of Unyijalamo. This man composed a song, Nasa Tibim. This Tibim song was not originally composed for Raila Amolo Odinga. This song was composed for another guy who was a councillor in Dandora called Oria. I know him so well. So whenever they would go, this guy would campaign with this song, people used to love the song. Even the word Raila Odinga and the rest, these NASA things, Babu Wino, were not there. So someone advised this guy that change this tune, redo this song, change it a bit, make it national. So kaboom, the song exploded. And recently, in Kibra, this guy joined William Samoei Ruto's camp. Why? Because he felt Raila Odinga and ODM were not helping him so much. So you wonder why? Because this guy composed the song for Raila NASA. He didn't pay any royalty. He composed a song. And that song was like a national anthem. That song, if this guy was advised correctly or rightly, if he got people who cared, Skiza tunes alone would have made that guy rich forever. So he was so much concerned with the fame rather than the business aspect of music. Skiza tunes alone during that campaign, this guy would have been a millionaire. He would have bid buy to. But immediately after the campaign, this guy was sick at some point, and I remember people contributing money for him. But I'm glad that he's now rising again. And the other day I saw him the other day actually trying to apologize to Raila Amolo Odinga. But I was advising some of his friends to tell him that he needs to view music as a business. It pays. So you don't view music as an opportunity to get famous. But what really happened to Lady Maureen? Because I remember in 2018, no, before I got there, I remember in, was it 2014-15 here, during the campaigns for the late Otieno Kajwang. When Otieno Kajwang died, now the brother, Moses Kajwang. And we were campaigning for Moses Kajwang. And Lady Maureen's songs were actually the songs which would excite the crowds. The crowd would always dance whenever those tunes of Lady Maureen's were playing. To an extent that Lady Maureen was brought to Homa Bay for like, I think 2 weeks, just campaigning. And she was paid good money for that. What really happened? In 2018, just a few days after the campaigns, because Lady Maureen was paid for campaigns, even if not by Luo artists. In Mombasa, I was in Mombasa during the campaigns. And Lady Maureen was there singing for aspirants. She was there. What really happened? In 2018, Lady Maureen went to Tanzania to perform. After performing, Lady Maureen was arrested. What happened? Lady Maureen had agreed with the promoter that she was going to be paid 400,000 Kenya shillings. And she was going to perform for two events. That's 200 per event. That's a huge amount of money. 2018. So she went there. Then the promoter paid her only 80,000 Kenya shillings. 80,000. In the hope that akimaliza, they'll clear. So she went, performed. Then after performing, this guy disappeared. They could not reach him on phone. So Lady Maureen was stranded with the band there. And that's how Lady Maureen was arrested, because I think someone even tipped the government, the Tanzania government, that she was there without work permit. So the reason Lady Maureen was stuck there was because the promoter did not pay and she could not get money to come back to the country. How shameful was that? A person who was just doing her own work. So it means they were in this music, not as a business. Not as a business. Personally, I know Lady Maureen, like Gladys Wanga, my friend, really helped this lady. But that's not the thing. So my advice to artists is that they must start looking at music. They must start looking at music as a business opportunity. They must do that. They must look at business as a business. Music as a business. Fame comes with it. Lady Maureen was doing so well. She's actually one of the first Ohangla artists I saw with a van for the band. Someone like Fredija Kadongo nowadays has Nissans around here. This is a guy who just composed a hit 1 or 2 years ago with the help of my friend Wood Phoebe. So this artist, and I really want to, I've mentioned his name, I really want to thank Wood Phoebe, because he's been trying really to help a lot of these artists by creating for them YouTube accounts, monetizing their contents. The best thing now he can do is to start, after doing that, he can go further. If there's a hit, go for Sakaja, put their musics on on those Boom and the rest, so that artists can benefit from their work. Because it's shameful that Lady Maureen died begging. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day.